Hey guys, this is Carly T. Minner, and I have never met a die I didn't want to turn into a shaker window, especially a word die. So let's grab Scrapbook.com's Christmas block words, and I will show you my favorite steps for making a shaker card. So I'm going to start by die cutting my opening for my shaker window. So I've got some craft cardstock, the Mary die, and some mint tape to tack it down and then run it through my die cut machine. After die cutting, I'm going to pop out those letters and the outline and set them aside for a different project because I don't need them. I just want that opening for my shaker window. And actually, I'm going to set that whole window panel aside because I'm going to finish it later. Right now, I'm going to move on to the background of the shaker. So I've got my folded card. I've got a piece of beautiful colored cardstock from the Sunshine Little A2 paper pad. And I'm trimming it down just a little bit before I adhere it to my card. And you might be asking, why am I trimming it down? Because it's the perfect size for an A2 card. But I want only white edges when I assemble my card later. I don't even want this beautiful tealy green to show anywhere except for my shaker window. So I don't want it peeking out of the edges, and so that's why I cut it down just a little bit. So after adhering that to the front of my folded card, I'm going to grab a little more mint tape and I'm going to cover the edges because I want to add some glitter and I want to keep those clean again. I don't want any glitter there to show through when my card is finished, and I also want to make it easier to adhere everything together, and foam tape sticks better to paper than it does to glitter. And then I've got some Frozen Flurry pops of color. I love this color. I love this dimensional embellishment, but it's also really fun if you make it flat. So I'm going to use my die cut window as a guide. That's why I die cut it before we made this background. And then I'm just going to use a palette knife to spread it out. Now you could use a palette knife. You could use any kind of like old gift card, straight edge. You could even use your finger. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to be in the background of your shaker, but this is a fun and easy way to make a little DIY glitter paper. You also want to make sure you put it on kind of thin. It will dry quicker and also cause less warping. You can see later I got a little heavy-handed with this card, but that's okay. It still turned out great. While it's wet, you can add a little bit more chunky glitter like I did on this one because more glitter is great. I'm always for more glitter. And then I just like to take the mint tape off while everything is still wet. That way, if anything needs to be wiped off, I have a chance to do it before it dries and hardens. So my glossy glittery background is done. I'm going to set that aside to dry, and then I'm going to go back to working on my shaker window panel. So I've die cut that Mary again, this time from white cardstock, and this time I just want the little border. And actually I want the little middles of the R's too. So I'm going to set those aside. I can save the other letters for another project, though knowing me, they'll just get lost on my desk. Now I've got the Pretty Pink Posh Mary script. I'm going to die cut it 3 times with that Sunshine cardstock. And then I'm just going to layer the 3 words together with a little bit of liquid glue. I love layering up die cuts, especially these delicate words. I think it just makes them feel like a fun, finished embellishment. And I love using liquid glue for it because it gives you a little bit more wiggle room to make sure that everything is lined up perfectly. Okay, I'm going to change gears again and go back to my folded card because the glitter is dry. So now I'm going to take some 1/4 inch foam tape and put it all around the edge to create my shaker container. And you can kind of see here that I was a little too generous with my glitter earlier and it's a little bit warped on the inside. But once we put it all together, you're not really going to notice. So you're going to remove that liner paper from the foam tape, add some sequins into that shaker container, and then close it all off with a piece of acetate. Now next we're going to add the window panel on top. So this is a formula that has really been working for me. Folded card with our background, foam tape to create the container, sealed with acetate, all self-contained. Now it just needs the window panel on top, and this is such an easy way to do it. A little bit of liquid glue, again, gives you wiggle room to get everything on there all lined up, and there you have it. Super easy. So after adhering the shaker window on top of the shaker panel card, now we just need to do a little bit more decorating. With liquid glue again, I'm going to adhere that Mary outline back into the shaker window. Then to put my little letter middles back in the R's, I'm going to grab the whole R, which it was nice that the R middles already stayed in there, but even if they hadn't, this technique is still great. Put a little bit of glue just on the part you want to stay in, which is that letter middle. Put it all in there and then pull just the part you don't want back out. Then you can see I'm kind of planning the rest of the layout here. I'm going to adhere that red Mary script underneath, again with some liquid glue. Gives me wiggle room to make it perfect. And then I'm actually going to add a stamp sentiment underneath. So I'm going to grab this whole thing and pop it in my MISTI. Now this next thing might be my favorite all-time tip for sharing just because it's made such a huge difference for me in my card making. Especially with sentiments, I want to test them before I commit to stamping on my project. So I load everything up in my MISTI just the way I think I want it, but then I put a piece of acetate on top of my project. Then when I ink my stamp and stamp, it goes onto the acetate, not my project. And that gives me a chance to check the spacing, the placement, all that kind of good stuff. If I don't like it, I can clean off the acetate, clean off the stamp, move things around, try that test again. If I do like it, I can just clean off the acetate, put it back in my MISTI for the next time, go ahead, ink up my stamp, and stamp it again, this time onto my actual project. So the finishing touches for this card is a few little holly leaves with the Pretty Pink Posh Winter Mug set, again from that Sunshine cardstock stack. Love those colors. And then I'm going to do a little bit of faux ink splatter at the end too, but I'm going to use a pen instead of actually doing splatters just because it's so much easier. So here you can see how it turned out. I really like it. I maybe would change the spacing just a little bit if I decide to make it again for my holiday cards, but who knows. And while I had all the supplies out, I decided to make a few more cards. Here's one with the ho ho ho. I used the pink and red from the Sunshine stack, and it's a little bit more striking in real life than it is coming across on camera. I love how it turned out. I love all the white space. I think it's really fun. And then I also did Jolly with the same beautiful blue-green underneath from the Sunshine stack and some snowflakes. So there you have all three together. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. You can find more information about the products I used in the YouTube description. I hope you were inspired to craft today, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks so much and have a great day. Happy crafting!